From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Monday, March 20th. Another freezing cold start. Temperatures in the mid-low 20s. Feels like the teens this morning as we wake up. But today is the first day of spring, and by this afternoon, it will feel like it with a high of 51 degrees. Winds are going to gust up to 25 miles per hour, though, so we still are dealing with that a little bit. But finally, we are moving away from those cold temps, and the rest of the week is looking pretty nice, too. A new shooting extends another violent stretch for Indianapolis. IMPD says over the last 3 days, gunfire killed 2 people, including a teenager, and left at least 6 people injured. IMPD says officers found a man shot just before 2:30 this morning on Cien Court. That's near 38th and Post. Police put a tourniquet on the victim, who is stable at last check. Investigators say the shooting was domestic related. It marks at least 7 shootings in the city since Saturday afternoon. 2 shootings involve teenagers, and just 1 person is under arrest so far. IMPD says officers found 1 teen shot to death Sunday morning in the Chapel Hill Village neighborhood. A few hours later, police found another teenager shot on Dudley Avenue. Police arrested a 15-year-old for his role in that shooting. IMPD says it's troubled by the violence and is pleading with community members.
People in our community deserve to see another day, regardless of whatever the issues may have been. And it is very unfortunate that another life has been taken. We cannot do this by ourselves. We need our community. We need our community to lean on each other, support each other. This is a community around here. This playground stands right behind me. People are affected, and we need them to come together, wrap their arms around one another, support one another, and get IMPD the information that they need so we can ensure that justice can be served for these families, the victims.
IMPD has not released any suspect information in the shootings, only saying it made the 1 arrest in the Dudley Avenue shooting. And police are asking the community for help as the search for a missing 14-year-old in Eaton, Indiana has so far turned up nothing. In a Facebook post on Sunday, Eaton police say anyone interested in joining the search for Scotty Morris should meet at the department at 9 o'clock this morning. They're also asking neighbors to review Ring doorbell and security camera video for any sign of Scotty Morris. A missing person alert says Morris could be in extreme danger. Police say he was last seen on Indiana Avenue in Eaton Thursday night. He's described as wearing glasses, a white shirt with black writing on the front, red and black shorts, and black shoes. Authorities have already used boats, drones, and bloodhounds to look for Morris. In Allen County, prosecutors say a Fort Wayne police officer will not face charges for fatally shooting an 18-year-old man last year. They say Officer Andrew Fry was justified in shooting Wyatt Beckler. It happened in November at a call of a man holding a gun on a woman. The county prosecutor says there is no evidence of criminal liability. Fort Wayne police called the use of force reasonable. A new study out of IUPUI is highlighting the lack of protections for Indianapolis renters. The university's Health and Human Rights Clinic found there are not laws that hold landlords accountable for keeping properties with safe living conditions. The clinic's director, Fran Quigley, is now pushing for Senate Bill 202 to get traction. The bill would provide protections like tenants being able to withhold rent until necessary repairs are made and create living standards for the dwellings.
Every single week, we see low-income renters who are dealing with really poor housing conditions. We're talking about mold and water damage and ceilings caved in and rodents.
The study also found of all the people in eviction court in Indianapolis, 30% of them could make a legitimate claim that the homes they're being evicted from are uninhabitable. Senate Bill 202 passed the Senate but has not been scheduled for a hearing in the House. Chinese leader Xi Jinping is in Moscow to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin right now. He arrived this morning. The visit comes 3 days after the International Criminal Court issued charges and an arrest warrant for Putin, accusing him of war crimes in Ukraine. The Chinese government has not shared any details about what it hopes to accomplish with today's visit. Xi and Putin declared that they had a no-limits friendship before the Russian invasion began, but China has portrayed itself as neutral in the conflict. People in Ecuador and Peru are working to clean up after a deadly earthquake. There is a lot of damage all across the area. Authorities say hundreds of buildings are damaged or destroyed. The earthquake happened Saturday. It registered at 6.8 magnitude and was centered just south of Ecuador's second largest city. Officials say at least 15 people are dead and nearly 450 more are hurt.
I'm taken aback at the idea of indicting a former president of the United States.
Mike Pence weighs in on what would be an American first, the indictment of a former president. Former President Donald Trump says he expects to be arrested this week. Pence says this is not what the American people want to see. He defended any peaceful protests that may break out while condemning the violence on January 6th. Trump called for protests on Saturday, posting he will be arrested on Tuesday. CNN cites sources who say Trump is expected to surrender at a New York courthouse for processing and an initial court hearing. This is connected to a years-long investigation into a hush money scheme involving Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal during the 2016 presidential campaign. Pence says people have a constitutional right to peacefully protest a possible indictment.
At a time when there's a crime wave in New York City, the fact that the Manhattan DA thinks that indicting President Trump is his top priority, I think, just tells you everything you need to know about the radical left in this country.
But that being said, there can be no tolerance for the kind of violence that we saw on January 6th or throughout the summer of 2020.
Pence goes on to say that Trump endangered his family with his words on January 6th. Today, Robert Costello is set to testify before the New York grand jury investigating the hush money scheme. He is a lawyer and ally of Trump. Miami Beach officials have imposed a spring break curfew following 2 deadly shootings. The curfew began at 11:59 last night and ended at 6 o'clock this morning. Officials say they're likely to put a second curfew in place this Thursday through next Monday. The curfew mainly affects South Beach, the most popular spring break party spot. City officials say deadly shootings on Friday night and Sunday morning and large unruly crowds led to the decision. A slow but potentially dangerous threat at Detroit's airport is now under analysis. Agriculture specialists are now looking at 6 giant African snails found Friday in a passenger's luggage. Officials say they came in on a flight from Ghana. The snails are banned in the U.S. because they can cause meningitis and cause damage to ecosystems. Authorities say a population of the snails found in Florida in 2011 took more than 10 years and millions of dollars to eradicate. They are native of East Africa and are said to grow as big as 8 inches long. Banking giant UBS plans to buy Credit Suisse in an emergency buyout. The Swiss government brokered the deal, and the country's president formally announced it last night. It's worth $3.25 billion and is aimed at avoiding further chaos in global banking. UBS officials say they plan to sell off parts of Credit Suisse and take other steps to reduce its size. The season is officially over for all Indiana men's basketball teams. IU and Purdue both lost their NCAA tournament games over the weekend. The Hoosiers played Miami for a possible Sweet 16 bid last night. IU trailed the Hurricanes for most of the game, and Miami pulled away with a series of three-pointers at the end. Final score 85-69. And new this morning, it's sounding more and more like the end of the Hoosiers tournament run also means the end of the college career for Trace Jackson Davis. The IU All-American still has 1 year of eligibility, but used the past tense to describe his career in a tweet overnight. He wrote, "It's always glory to the man above. Thank you, Indiana basketball, for everything and welcoming me into your family. I wore that jersey with pride every time I stepped on the court. We went through some tough times, but this place is only going to get better. Love, TJD." And Purdue, of course, made headlines over the weekend for all the wrong reasons. Just the second number 1 seed ever to lose in the first round. As we've reported, Purdue did lose to the 16th-seeded Fairleigh Dickinson 63-58 Friday. Friday's loss marks the 3rd straight year Purdue has been eliminated by a double-digit seed in the tournament. And today, in better news, the IU women play for a spot in the Sweet 16. The Hoosiers hope to have Mackenzie Holmes back on the court tonight. She missed the first round game with a knee injury. IU is a favorite over Miami, the same school that knocked off the Hoosier men. Tip-off is set for 8 o'clock. If the Hoosiers win, they'll play either Florida Gulf Coast or Villanova in the Sweet 16. If IU wins tonight, it'll be the team's 3rd straight trip to the Sweet 16. The Notre Dame women's team is headed to the Sweet 16. The team shared a moment on Twitter after their win over Mississippi State yesterday. The Bulldogs scored 8 straight points to open the fourth quarter and tie the game, but the Irish regained the lead and pulled out the win. Final score of 53-48. Notre Dame plays Maryland on Saturday. And with IU and Purdue out of men's March Madness, if you're searching for a team to cheer on, there are several surprise stories still alive in the Sweet 16. The longest shot is Princeton, a number 15 seed that first stunned Arizona, then took down Missouri. In Sunday's tangle of teams with Tiger mascots, the Princeton variety blew out Mizzou. The Ivy League squad plays its first Sweet 16 game in 56 years Friday against Creighton. In a matchup of long shots, the run is over for the upstart that knocked out Purdue. Fairleigh Dickinson lost late last night to Florida Atlantic. The Owls are the second lowest seed left at number 9, taking on Tennessee Thursday. Last year's champion will not repeat. Arkansas took out top seed Kansas Saturday. The Jayhawks led most of the game, but the Razorbacks stormed back late to win. Houston and Alabama are the only number 1 seeds left. And the Pacers could inch closer to a playoff spot with a good road trip performance. Pacers are coming off a 20-point loss to the 76ers at home Saturday. Indiana is now a game and a half back from the 10th seed with just 10 games to go. Tonight's game tips off at 7 o'clock in Charlotte. And finally, to business headlines, the U.S. housing market posted the first year-over-year decline in home prices since 2012 as a result of higher mortgage rates. Real estate brokerage firm Redfin showed that the median U.S. home sale price fell 1.2% in February from the previous year. An increase in electricity costs made electric vehicles more expensive to fuel than gas-powered vehicles during the final quarter of 2022. According to an Anderson Economic Group study, in the final months of 2022, drivers paid about $11 to $29 to fuel their gas-powered vehicles for 100 miles of driving. That cost was roughly 31 cents cheaper than the amount paid by mid-priced EV drivers who mainly charge at home. Phone companies AT&T and Verizon are trimming their spending plans for network expansion. The end of low interest rates and slumping demand led to the cutbacks. Bloomberg reports Verizon expects to extend fiber past about 50,000 fewer homes this year than last. AT&T has slashed the number of homes it plans to reach by 39% this year. Nationwide, undergraduate college enrollment dropped 8% from 2019 to 2022, with declines even after returning to in-person classes, according to data from the National Student Clearinghouse. The slide in the college-going rate since 2018 is the steepest on record, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Fewer college graduates could worsen labor shortages in fields from healthcare to information technology. That's according to the Georgetown University Center on Education and Workforce. And the unhappiest jobs are also some of the loneliest, according to an 85-year study from Harvard researchers. Jobs that require little human interaction and don't offer opportunities to build meaningful relationships with coworkers tend to have the most miserable employees. Some of the most isolating jobs involve more independent work than interpersonal relationships or require overnight shifts, such as truck driving and night security. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.